Why now? Welcome to Fitz's Electric Bar. Summertime and the living is easy. Gotta be careful, maybe I'll get a copyright strike if I sing the song too well. So, a few things I want to talk about. First of all, I've got a whole whack of records to show. I know you folks out there, you like your whack of records, whether it's a car boot sale or look what I found. But this is my local record store had its anniversary sale, and Fitz went crazy. I bought a few records online, and then when I came in to pick them up, I thought, well, I'll just take a gander at the used records that are on sale 30% off, and I lost my shit. So I'll show you some of that, but beforehand, just tell you a few things, summer so far. The Fitz interviews. I love saying the Fitz interviews, you know, using my self in the third person, like it's something, like I'm somebody important. The Fitz interviews. They've been great though. As I mentioned before, I've kind of logged all these interviews up to, I think, the end of June. I think I did a couple afterwards. I did Chris at the Long Cut and Emmy Loves Vinyl, Amy. I did all sort of later, and I asked them not to watch the video so they weren't familiar with the questions, making it more kind of secretive and exciting than it really is. But both enjoyable interviews. And so they'll be coming up, and again, continuing to release Tuesdays and Fridays. I encourage you to read the description as well. I think most people are not that interested or don't normally check the description, but I take a little bit of time to write a little bit about what the channel or the person has meant to me in terms of what I love about their channel, if it's a channel interview. And if it's a friend of mine, these are people that I've known for years. We share a deep love and in many cases knowledge of music. And so hearing them sort of talk a little bit about what they love has been really awesome, and I've been so happy to capture that on video. The last one I did was with Simon coming up, or maybe it's just been posted as Mark, another Mark in my life. But those are really good. A couple of shows that I saw recently, just very briefly. One of them was Makaya McCraven, a jazz drummer who I think operates out of Paris. And it was a free show downtown here in Vancouver. Just a fantastic show. So you just sort of slide in, there's a little beer garden, wasn't too crowded. So the whole experience was fantastic. And his power and the way that he, it's just a fantastic live show, and it really took me by surprise. I know he's kind of like a darling. He ends up on a lot of critic reviews for year-end lists, and to be perfectly honest, I bought one of his records and I just had a really hard time getting into it, but seeing him live was really revelatory. Just a kind of a drummer that's got a lot going on. He's not just doing a kind of a standard 4/4, needless to say, but compelling, right? Because sometimes something can be intellectually fantastic but not emotionally really connected. But this his performance was really great, and his whole band was great. There's a xylophone player, and so if you get a chance, if he's touring and you get a chance to see him, especially as part of a jazz festival, things like that, Makaya McCraven, highly recommend. The other one was Bill Frisell. It's part of a trio, a very sort of calm, low-key affair. I'd never seen Bill Frisell before. I think of him as somebody who does some great interpretations of some classics, and not just in the jazz idiom. New York guitar player, as I understand it. And it was a really nice show. I took my stepson to it. He's a graduate of jazz guitar, Bachelor of Music, so he really appreciated it on a level that I didn't fully grasp. But we both, I think, really enjoyed the show. And it was kind of cool, too, because he covered Burt Bacharach's What the World Needs Now Is Love, Sweet Love. And it was just so lovely and such a beautiful jazz interpretation of it. And I'm going to say of course, but if you don't know Bill Frisell, it won't be of course. No vocals, the song wasn't sung, but we all know the song so well. And just the melodies, the wistful melodies. And it started to occur to me when I heard that song that he was, in his own understated way, making a statement, about where we're at in the world. Maybe this is all projection, but what the world does need now is a lot more love. And he's also often covers Bob Dylan songs. And I know he's covered Masters of War. I think, I went to look at the set list online. They didn't have it for the show I went to. I think he covered Blowin' in the Wind, if my memory serves me correctly. But again, how many rows must a man walk down, you know? And of course, Masters of War. So I kind of felt in his own way. What's so interesting is that you could make a political statement or about the state of the world without necessarily having songs sung, right? Just drawing from the great songbook. So that's really cool. Anyways, let's jump into some of the new records that I got. My local record store, I've got a few of them I go to, Red Cat, Neptune. This particular one, Audiophile, is one of my faves. Enjoy all three of them immensely, and they each have their own strengths. Audiophile was doing their annual anniversary sale. I guess that's the nature of an anniversary. And the deal with them was 20% off of all new records and 30% off of used records when you went into the store. So I went online, I did my research ahead of time, and probably, as you can guess, when you're getting a 20% off of list price, I'm looking at kind of the more expensive records that I've been interested in. So I'm looking at MoFi, Impex, Analog Productions, you know, the Atlantic 75 series, which I think is Analog Productions. Yeah, I think I said Mobile Fidelity, Sam Records, anything that generally has got a higher sticker value. And there wasn't for me much that I felt. There was stuff that I kind of put in my cart and then I took it out, you know, ahead of time. But I'll tell you what I did get, and something I've been wanting to own for a while, and that is the Dusty in Memphis. This iconic record recorded in Memphis with Jerry Wexler. Such a great record, such a great sounding record. And I just, you know, I knew I needed to have this record. And this is a 2x45 RPM record. And I don't love the 45 RPM, as many people have said, Mazzy among them. It does kind of break the flow of the record. At the same time, you've got the perceived audio quality jump from that. So Dusty, the part of the Atlantic 75 audiophile series, Dusty in Memphis. Another one that I've had on my list, not that this was a huge high price sticker, but is Gavin Bryars. So this, Gavin Bryars, sorry for the reflection there, I haven't taken off the cellophane. This is another record that you hear about quite a bit, and it was originally released on Brian Eno's Obscure label. And this is called The Sinking of the Titanic. And I think the notion behind a lot of this is in terms of recreating what it might have been like on the Titanic as it hit the iceberg and was going down. And apparently, this is what it says here. This piece is based wholly on the circumstances surrounding that event, the sinking of the Titanic, that emanate from it in one direction or another. All the elements in the present recording and published extracts from the piece in other performances already given are based on these considerations. So I think it's either, you know, it's some of the, I should have read this more before I started talking about it, so I'll keep it brief. But, you know, apparently the band played on, right? They kept playing music as the Titanic was going down. And maybe they didn't know, maybe they did know that they were going down, but they continued to play. And some of the hymnal music and stuff like that, I think it might have even been the music that was purported to be played. I suppose there were survivors, so maybe they were able to report on that. I'm not really sure. But it's a very strong, atmospheric kind of record. Might save this for the autumn to put on. But one song on each side. Yeah, with this cinematic setting for the camera, it's a little hard to look at the details. It goes all blurry. The Sinking of the Titanic on side one. Jesus' blood never failed me yet. So looking forward to that, Gavin Bryars. And the third one I got, again, more reflection, but is Califone. Califone, I won't go into details about the band because, quite frankly, I don't know all the details, but those of you who watch my channel may know that there was about a year year and a half ago, I think. A friend of mine, Richard, and I went to see a house concert with Caliphone, and it was a really cool experience, just in a East Vancouver house, something called a Vancouver Special, sort of kind of a bigger house that has most of its structure on the outside, so it's very open concept. I think there were no more than 50 people, if that, there. A kind of sunken living room, and Richard and I were just sitting up on the stairs, just looking down, kind of like a Brady Bunch, watching a performance in the living room, and it was really good. I mean, it was because of the setting, it was just a really wild experience. This one is called The Villager's Companion, and this is a, the description here is like Amnesiac was to Kid A. Caliphone's new album, The Villager's Companion, springs from the same well as 2023's Villagers. Anyways, I listened to this a bit online. I really enjoyed it. Again, you won't be able to see this that well, but it's a numbered copy of 500 and got number 353. So those are the three that I bought online. Then I arrive at Audiophile, and it wasn't that crowded on Sunday morning when it opened just after 11. So I thought, I'll just go through and take a look at the used records, and they usually bring in some really good stuff. So I got to looking and came across a lot, and I was admittedly very influenced by the price. Because 30% off these records, some of them weren't that expensive to begin with, but was really cool. The other thing I realized is that I was very influenced by the interviews that I did on the Fitz interviews. So a lot of music that came up from some people that I've interviewed definitely influenced my purchase decisions. So I'll mention those as they come up. This one, a big Tim Buckley fan. This, unfortunately, not good quality. This is not just scratchy, it's really pretty bad all the way through. It's just got that sound. So I may go back and see if I can, they had two copies of this and I clearly picked the wrong one, to see if I could replace it. But Tim Buckley, just somebody I really enjoy. I think I've got a compilation box of his records that I've been enjoying. There's a great, I think it's called Morning Glory compilation of his stuff, to see if it's something you like, that goes all through his career. Very interesting singer-songwriter guy, sometimes very rock and roll, sometimes very folky, and some really cool vocalizing if it's your cup of tea. Reminds me of Fred Neil, although I would say I'm more of a Tim Buckley fan, so Fred Neil reminds me of Tim Buckley. Really like this record. I already know I like this record. I just want to get it on vinyl. Because the only other record I have is Greetings from LA, which is actually a great sounding record, and I'm really happy that I have that. Here's the beginning of what I was saying about, thinking about some of the interviews that I did and some of the people that kind of influenced my purchases here. Steve over at The Sonic Obsession has often talked about how much he likes Joe Jackson, and he called out Joe Jackson as one of the most underrated people. And I think it's a good point because he kind of burst onto the scene and was being compared to Elvis Costello and Graham Parker. And maybe that first record or two had some elements of that, but he clearly went in another direction, off into a lot of sort of jazz and film scores and things like that. So two that appeared at the store that I picked up this night and day. $5. Remember, these are Canadian dollars, so 30% off. So what's that? Like $3.50. Had to get this, and I'm familiar with this record a little bit. Breaking Up Us and Two is a song that I think was being played wherever I was listening to music. This one too, I don't know this record at all, but Joe Jackson's Body and Soul, again $5. So just felt I couldn't not purchase it. So haven't listened I listened to Night and Day, and it's a great sounding record. Body and Soul I have not listened to. So thank you, Steve, for reminding me of Joe Jackson and having this opportunity to purchase them. This one I think was both Mark W. and Don G., two friends of mine, both brought up Simple Minds in my interviews with them. And I think both were brought up this era of Simple Minds. So this is all before the, Up on the Catwalk and New Gold Dream and all that kind of stuff, Sparkle in the Rain, Sons and Fascination. And I remember this record, Sons and Fascination, the title track, Love Song, more kind of electronic and not quite as, let's say, slick or pop. And so I'm really looking forward to this. Again, this one came in at $9, so I would have got this for $6, which is good. I just did a blind buy on this, Cool Struttin'. This is part of the Blue Note 75, Sonny Clark. Just listened to it this morning, sounds pretty good. Art Farmer's on this, Philly Joe Jones, Paul Chambers on bass. So just a who's who of the on the bandstand, which is cool. Cool Struttin'. Just for those keeping score. So this was used $19. Looks like it's in really good shape. So again, would have got this for about $12. So not too shabby. I have this on CD. On CD, it's got, this is the cover of the CD. Now, interesting thing about this, so it's called Little Girl Blue, Nina Simone. This is her first record. This was recorded in, I think, 1956, if I'm not mistaken. I noticed, and I sometimes am a little, slow at picking up on these things, that this is Dole, D-O-L is the name of the label. Again, I don't think I can show it too closely, it blurs out, but so this is it's manufactured in Europe. This is, I think, a European label, and I looked online to see what the opinions or reviews are in terms of whether these are good pressings, and you get mixed reviews about that. A lot of these things like Jazz Wax and Wax Time or whatever, you'll see these albums, these seminal albums, Chet Baker and others, quite inexpensive, but the quality is really, I think they take them right from the CD, really. So it's kind of like, what's the point? It's very far from the analog master tapes. Not that you have to always do that, but anyways, Little Girl Blue, the song on here that has always really stuck with me that I just think is so fantastic is Plain Gold Ring, the second track on side 2, just about a woman who realizes she's fallen for a married man and just knowing that she's in for a world of hurt. I don't have any Santana records, and I've been hearing a lot about Abraxas as being a good record to get. Now, this has Black Magic Woman into the Gypsy Queen, Gabor Szabo song, the second one. And also Oi Como Va, which everybody knows. But this is... I'd heard that the MoFi release of this was really fantastic. I thought, well, let's start with this, and if I really love it, then we'll get it on MoFi. But again, $17, so drops down to about 12 or something like that with the sale price. So that was nice. This one, Graham Kirkland, and a drummer out of Toronto. Quite the marketing for that. I've got another Graham Kirkland and the Wolves record that I really like. and I think he's got like a bit of a black eye in this one. I think he used to get into fights all the time. I don't know much about him, but I really like my Graham Kirkland record, so I decided I would pick this up again. Kind of a blind buy, if you pardon the pun. Well, this one was $7, so for $4.50 or whatever, I've got my second Graham Kirkland. A seminal one that you need to have in your collection. No, I think don't need to say much about this. Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison. Looking forward to that. Another classic that I have on CD but don't have on vinyl. This is an American copy. I don't know. I know it's not an original press, but yeah, recorded, I guess, in 1956. Saxophone Colossus, Sonny Rollins. Another blind buy. I've just kind of heard a lot of interesting stuff about Chico Hamilton. Don't know anything about this record. Price was right, so again, this was about $10 and thought I would give this a go. Sometimes it's fun doing blind buys. I mentioned Fred Neil. This is a Fred Neil record. I've been listening to him a little bit lately. I have a really nice sort of greatest hits. This one is, I think, not a greatest hits, just a regular release, but this has got The Dolphins, which was covered by Tim Buckley. I think it was also covered by This Mortal Coil. Everybody's Talking, so he wrote that song, Everybody's Talking, that was from Midnight Cowboy. Sweet Cocaine, that's the bag I'm in. So I'm familiar with a lot of the music on this, and it looks like a great kind of record, so I decided to get that. Kind of fill in my Pretenders catalog. For some reason, a lot of the stuff seemed to disappear at some point. Recently got Pretenders 2, and this first record by Pretenders is nice to have. Also trying to fill in my Lou Reed collection. I had virtually everything by Lou Reed up to, I don't know, probably sort of like New Sensations, and many of them somehow disappeared. I've been really appreciating this more and more. This seems to be a record that everybody talks about. It's kind of a harrowing record, Waves of Fear, Underneath the Bottle, Robert Quine on guitar, Fernando Sanders. So this is great players, so get Lou Reed. Lou Reed's starting to get more expensive, I noticed, and also Sally Can't Dance, Kill Your Stars. Sally can't dance no more. She can't get up off of the floor. Billy. This one, again, goes out to the Sonic Obsession. I have both Jeff Beck's Wired and Blow by Blow. That's sort of kind of, I was going to say late career, but of course it wasn't late career. That was sort of in the 70s, I guess. But jazz fusion. So I don't know this record, and this is a huge embarrassment to me that I don't know this. John had mentioned that Jeff Beck, for him, is hands down his best guitarist in his estimation in the rock genre. Jeff Beck Truth, Rod Stewart on vocals. So looking forward to listening to this. It's like $10, so I got that for about $6 or $7. Of course, hopefully the quality is good, because it's not really worth anything if the quality is terrible of the actual vinyl. This one goes out to Mazzy. I think he mentioned this, but Ry Cooder. I love Paris, Texas soundtrack, so I don't know this film. I don't know this soundtrack, but again, it was a $5 purchase before the discount, so definitely worth it. Been listening to a lot of Brian Ferry solo stuff, and I realized I had a hold of this Flesh and Blood. I know for many it's not really their greatest record, but Midnight Hour, Over You is a really beautiful song, kind of in the same sort of production vein, I think, as Avalon. It's very lush and really nice. So Flesh and Blood, Roxy Music, and also Bête Noire, and this is the record that's got Kiss and Tell on it. I mentioned earlier that I find that a very addictive little confection, that song Kiss and Tell. So Bête Noire, and been listening to some podcasts, and there was Phil Manzanera being interviewed. I listened to Brian Ferry. I think these were both Rock on Tours and or Word in Your Ear. But 801 Live. So Phil Manzanera of Roxy Music with Brian Eno, formerly of Roxy Music, among others. I thought I would give this a go and see what this is like, 801 Live. So that's it. A little respite from the Fitz interviews. The Fitz will be back again shortly, and these Interviews go straight through the summer. Still to come, Harris Pilton, MGK Boston, The Long Cut, Eskimos Vinyl, and many, many more, including Friends.